Welcome! In this video on C we're going to look at some more functions on strings, but we also will look at a main with parameters, and that's one you need for the Adidas assignment, the last assignment for this module. So let's start with this main with parameters. If we look at a main with arguments, the only difference from the previous examples would be that in the previous examples we had int, main, and then a void, so no parameters. And now we're going to give the system the opportunity to enter parameters when we execute the program. And to be able to do so, the only difference we make is between the brackets we'll put in parameters. The first one is called argument count. So as the word says, it counts the amount of arguments the user will give to the system, and the second one are the arguments itself, and they are all pointers to chars. So in fact the arguments you get are char arrays, and then how many you get is of course depending on this argc, and they are stored, accessible to argv with a bracket again. So this argv, in fact, if we look at it, this argv is an array, so argv is a pointer. And to what do they point? It points to a char pointer. So in fact, you could also write this one as char star star argv. Normally we will write it like this because we're going to use it in the function in the main program as argv with an index. And so this shows better that we have an array of char pointers, but it's exactly the same. Okay, in this function then we can use this argv in any way we like. So within the Adidas assignment we're going to use argv to open a file. So we could for instance just do a print f of these arguments, and then the first argument is a special one. And so the first argument you're going to see, first %s, will be the name of the program. So when you're using parameters, you definitely will have one argument minimal because the name of the program counts as an argument. So we can show this first one with argument v0. Then all the others, we can just make a simple for loop. So for integer I becomes 1, because the first one we already did. I smaller than arg count, I++ increment. We can just do a printf of all the arguments we see. Argument %t, so we'll show what argument we have, and then the argument itself. So we first show the index and then the argument itself with the index. And then we have a simple program which only shows me the name of the program and the arguments given by the program. And of course in your Adidas assignment you will use this argv1 and 2 as file names, so you will open files with them. Okay, let's have a small demo and see indeed if we get the name of the program. So for the demonstration I just implemented a main, main.c, and this main.c doesn't have a void in its parameter list, but the arg count and argv as an array of char pointers. And what we'll do is we'll just print the first argument, the name of the program argv0, and then for all the arguments, so for 1 until argument counts, the arguments itself. So let's see if this works out. So we will compile this main, and now if I run the main without any arguments, you would expect only the name of the program to appear and nothing else. Let's see. So indeed, so first main, no other arguments. So if I would run the main with parameters, then I can add anything I like. So for instance, first, second, third, but I could also enter 4, 5, 6, and then I would expect to see all of these arguments back together with the name. So indeed, main, first, second, third, 4, 5, 6. So they're all just simple string. Okay, now let's look at some functions on strings and then in combination with the arguments of the main. So if we have a function on string, we have a lot of standards in the string.header file, but we could also make some ourselves. So let's do that first. So let's say we have a string, char s1, 20 spaces with how are you doing. So if we would make a drawing, then this s2 points at 20 spots. The first one s1 0, last one s1 19. Okay, and let's say we want to count the number of specific chars in this string. So for instance, the number of O's. And then we could define an integer, a number O's, and then we could make a function, and this function could be called char count. So we're going to count the number of O's inside that string as 1. And then this char count should return the number of O's. Okay, let's make that one. So let's make a function char count. So it should return an integer. It has the name char count, and the first parameter should be a pointer to an array of chars. So let's just call this one a pointer to an array of chars, a char pointer. And then the second element we should give this function is of course a specific char. Because we can count O's or Z's or C's, whatever you like. Okay, if we want to do this, then first we need to have a help variable. So int help, initialize it with 0, so that's the number counted so far. And now we'd like to count in this array, pointed to by CP, until we reach the end of string, how often a char with the value inside this C occurs. So we need to have a while loop. We can't do it with a for loop, because we don't know the amount of elements in this text. There could be 20 or 40 or 110, I don't know. So we need to do a while loop. So while. And then how can we see when we end? Well, of course, if we have the end of string. So while this content we're looking at this moment is not end of string, okay, then there's something to look at. So then we check. So if we found a character C, then we have to increment help, and otherwise we'll just continue looking. So if the one current under investigation, so star CP equals this character we're looking for, okay, then we say help plus plus, we found one. And in all other situations, we just increment CP. So we move the pointer 1 up. And so this is a quite standard way of going to a char array. We get with call by value the starting point of this array. So this CP is our own local variable. It's just a copy of the one we are called with. Then with this local variable, we'll just check the content. This is a pointer. We check whatever it's pointing to at that moment. If we found one, we add. And in all other situations, and also if we found one, of course, we just continue looking until we reach the end of string. And that's it. So then we return help. And we're done. So this is a very elegant, simple string function. Okay, I implemented the function char count in my main.c, and then we're going to use this function with one of the arguments. So let's just for instance, look at the first argument given. So then we would say int number becomes, and then we can use this function char count with the first argument we give to the main. So that would be with argv1, and which char would we like to calculate? Okay, let's just do an S. Okay, and then let's just print the result. Printf, the number of S is %d, end of line, number. Okay, let's see what happens. So let's save this one and then let's compile it. So CL main. So let's test it with some words, and then of course we're only going to test the first argument, because that's the only one we count. So main, a lot of S's, first, okay, 3, 6, yeah, that's correct. And we can do main, it should be 2. Okay, fantastic. So with the help of this char count, we can just calculate number of chars inside a string with our own made function. We could also do other things with these arguments. So for instance, I want to make an adding machine. So I want to give the main 2 integers, for instance 3 and 7, and then as a result I would like to see the value 10, 3 plus 7. And then you would say, okay, that's not so difficult, let's just do that. So int sum, and then sum becomes argument v1 plus argument v2. And then we'll show the argument, the result. So we'll do a printf. Sum is %d \n, comma, sum. And then of course, the way I'm explaining this, you will know this doesn't work. But let's just see if indeed I'm right. So let's compile it. CL main. It doesn't even compile. It says I cannot add 2 pointers. Okay, that is strange. But look here, sum equals argv1 plus argv2. These two are char pointers, as you know. Argv index is a char pointer. So that's not what we want to see. So what we need is we first need to convert the string into a number. And then you can use the function a to I, ASCII to integer. So if I would say a to I with argv1 and a to I with argv2, and then if I give the main 2 integers, this should work. And so now he is converting the string. So in fact, again, this is a standard function we get from the system. He would convert the strings to an integer, ASCII to integer, and then hopefully we get a good result. So let's do it again. Let's compile. Okay, and then main with 2 numbers. Sum equals 11. And so now you've made an adding machine. By the way, he will do his best for you if you didn't give it an integer. And then, because he sees 4 and then the rest he will dismiss. But if you start with something which is not like an integer, there will be a problem. So if you would say S5, you will not just discard the 5. You will say, oh, no, sorry, this 5 I cannot interpret, so I will just give it a 0. And so he will do his best to help you get out the integers, but he will always start from the beginning. So this concludes our lessons in functions on strings and the main word parameters. I hope you enjoyed it again. See you!